Hello, beautiful wild woman. Welcome back to this beautiful space here in the Wild Woman podcast, where we are always traveling in the pursuit of your depth, truth, and inner wisdom. I am your host, Hanna, and very, very happy to dive into this very specific topic today. But before I get into that, what I wanted to say, thank you yet again for little messages that I sometimes receive. This audience for Wild Woman podcast is constantly growing, and I'm so happy. Just the other day, one lovely lady messaged me that this transmission of truth is real through this podcast, and I love it so much, and you guys have no idea how much it helps me to create with this beautiful sparkly energy. So thank you, and please leave a review if it feels right for you, and obviously subscribe wherever platform you're listening from, because that helps this podcast and all these messages to reach a bigger audience as well. And I guess we all know like how much women are searching for this truth, searching for connection, searching for something that could help them. So we can all be part of this mission if we just do what we can do, and share episodes, share the messages, tag, use the power of the social media to kind of bring women together into these spaces that allow them to discover themselves. And today, what I want to talk about, obviously, as you can already see from the title, we're going to talk about psychic senses. And what is this if not, first of all, a self-discovery? And it's definitely a topic that I assume, and I kind of heard and seen that a lot of people are extremely curious about, but also it's a bit of a taboo in some circles as well, that people don't quite talk about it. And even for myself, I kind of declared from very early on that I am, or I will be, a psychic. I want to do this witch work, and I want to become this witch woman. And I decided for myself very early on that this is all possible for me. But still, almost like the older and more mature I've gotten, sometimes is the hardest to almost to own it. And I'm more and more, especially lately, stepping into this, speaking more about this and allowing myself to be so much more unapologetically this woman who is a channel and channels energy, channels messages, channels wisdom, channels goddesses, and has this connection to my inner world, but also to the outer world. That is, I know these connections are made to something that is external to me. And not so much I have actually been speaking about it, but for some reason I feel the call to share it a bit more. But instead of just sharing my own experience at the moment, I want to tell you how you can sharpen your own psychic senses. Psychic senses could be any sense that are our normal human senses as well. If you think of what senses we have, we can taste, smell, hear, feel, touch. We can see in our imagination, with our inner eye, or we can see with our physical eyes. We can just know something. There are many ways how we can kind of perceive the world around us. And it's exactly the same when it comes to our psychic senses. With the same senses, we can translate, pick up the energy around us and the world around us that is the unseen world. I tend to call it the unseen world because it might not be just seen just in the 3D world that maybe the world wants us to see. I don't know if it's the right wording, but I guess you get what I want to say here. Pretty much seeing a bit deeper, seeing the energy, feeling the energy, picking up some messages and all of that. So how to strengthen all of that? So first of all, let me preface that my possibly I think the strongest psychic sense is vision, and then what follows with it is inner knowing and inner feeling. So if I'm talking about this, it's obviously through my own personal filter. So that's where I'm mainly focusing on. And I would say these most likely are maybe some of the most common psychic abilities or gifts as well, that what I've heard people have, or what comes forward first. So here are some very practical tips that you can do for yourself to strengthen your psychic abilities. Let's just get this out of the way straight away. Yes, everyone can have psychic abilities. We all have our physical body. We all have our senses. Maybe we don't have all of the senses, but we have dominant senses and senses that just perceive the world around us. And all that equipment is required for psychic sense as well. Your body as a device that receives frequencies, and your consciousness that translates into something that you can kind of put into words, or you can have experience of it, something that you recognize, something that you can read a message out of. So it's nothing too like out there or crazy that is absolutely inaccessible to most people. Yes, you can do this too, and particularly if you want to, then it's guaranteed that you can practice your psychic senses, and most likely you already have had actually very profound psychic experiences, whether you regard them as a psychic experience or not. So first thing what I want to say is, very good way to start practicing your psychic senses and your psychic vision particularly is to practice your visual imagination, your visual cues, your visual awareness, and allowing yourself to have a very vivid imagination. Our very kind of normal daily life very often shuts our visual sense down quite a bit. It doesn't shut it down, but it narrows it a lot. What we want is creative expression for our visual senses. We want to be able to visualize different things. We want to have this freedom in our inner eye that can receive different kind of experiences, expressions, visuals. So practicing things that you can imagine is very, very cool. Even like your own drawing, your own kind of sketching, even writing words out, things like that, that just give yourself like a visual experience often is very important. For example, I grew up with drawing a lot and communicating kind of like this expressive visual part of me constantly. So obviously the visual side grew quite strong, and it's important to have this almost like ability to vision. And it's not that common that people are very good at visualizing something, but the more you practice that one sense, that for example the inner vision, then the more it's just easy for you to receive messages and psychic visions through that sense. It's quite simple. It's like creating a good relationship with that ability. So you got to commit to yourself to training that sense in a very human way, and then it's more available also to receive the more spiritual communication as well. So colors, making sure that you actually want to have a strong visual sense, that your surroundings in your home, what you can design and what is under your kind of control, that you like the things you see and you pay attention to a lot of like visual details around you. This is very, very important. Training that visuality. Is it a word, visuality? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Well, now it is. Then number 2, very normal, very almost like a very predictable exercise. What you can do is obvious, kind of like intuitive choice practices. I remember when I was quite young, and I never read or heard anyone kind of saying how you can teach yourself to be psychic, but I've done them quite intuitively. For example, on one random day, me and my partner at the time, we had signed up to some sort of membership program somewhere in Estonia, and the 2 membership cards arrived on the same day in the mail. And I opened the 2 envelopes up, so there were 2 identical cards, and on the front side of it was the name, and the back side was completely identical. So what I started to do, this card sat on my table on a kitchen table for a long time. And I started doing this, like as I ate my lunch or dinner or breakfast, I started playing around with these 2 cards there, and kind of making an intuitive choice. Taking my time, setting these cards beside each other and trying to visualize what name is on that card. Or if I hold one of those cards in my hand, what travels through my visualization? What feelings am I getting? What cues is the energy of the card offering to me? And can I, based on these cues, can make a decision? Is it for me or is it for my partner? Is this energy connected more to a woman, or is that energy connected more to a guy? Is that energy more related to me, or is that energy related more to my partner? And I practice this like very often, daily, until eventually, of course, these cards traveled into our wallets and they weren't there all the time. But I really loved this exercise because it again trained me to pay attention and be very neutral about what are the cues and the answers I'm receiving. Because by the end of the day, doing such a simple exercise, absolutely nothing is on the line. It was more just a personal entertainment for me and just playing around. I didn't do it necessarily because, oh, I need to train here my psychic vision. It was kind of like a cool way to just practice, play around, and just get curious about it. And yeah, I got actually quite accurate about it, and it brought me a lot of pleasure doing that. Number 3, one of the exercises I did much later. I already lived in Australia, and one of my favorite things in this the realm of like spiritual items are oracle cards. I love oracle cards, and I don't play around with them extremely often these days, but sometimes I just love like watching the beautiful images, receiving the messages. And this is something I turn to quite often. I feel they're a beautiful way to just communicate with us and surrendering to a bit of a like something outside of us as well, that, okay, like I really don't know what I want to do here. I really don't want to make a decision yet, but let me just be open to receive a message. And then oracle cards are a gorgeous way to just be open to some sort of guidance or just message to come through or support. And one of those ways how I've also enjoyed playing around with oracle cards is taking a card from a deck, not looking at the card, but trying to connect with the card in a way that, can I read the energy of the card without looking at it physically? Can I look at it with my inner eyes? Can I pick up some words? Can I pick up some numbers? Every oracle card has a number somewhere written on the card, usually. There are usually written some words there, or there's some images, pictures, details. There is an overall energy in the message of the card, or in the guidance of the card. And I kind of made, again, like this, almost like this entertainment sometimes, that I could do it just for maybe like max 3 cards. I felt like if I went like a very long time and just go through a whole deck like this, it kind of went too random. But if you can do it, hold this focus long enough that you can do it maybe once or twice or 3 times or once a day with one card even, it will help you again to start paying attention. What do you experience as you hold this card? And it might give you like a lot of information. It might just give you some more awareness how you are doing, which is beautiful embodiment practice where you just get to be present with yourself. And also then you get to recognize what is completely kind of entering your energy field, your consciousness, your understanding, your senses from external energy of this card. Getting to know also these type of things, what is yours and what comes from something else, is so essential and vital for everyone who has this high sensitivity towards energies and entities and communication and these open channels. We need to know and get to know the difference between us and what is something else from outside. And I feel like oracle cards could be just one of those things that help you practice that difference, because obviously you have something that you can check after you turn the card around, and there are the details, there are the numbers, there are the words. You can read the message of the card in the book. It gives you like the overall energy of that card, so it gives you like a bit of a reflection time with yourself, but also again practice with your psychic senses. What travels through your whole body? Can you hear something? Can you sense something? Do you have a memory come up? Any symbols that come up? All of this is very valuable, and it's very easy for you to do it alone at home, because you don't need anyone to translate this for you. Number 4, what I want to say is the practice for focus. And like I mentioned, if you would do this card pull practice, for example, that you start with 1 or 2 or 3 cards, you might notice that your focus is actually quite short in the beginning. And that's, for example, what you might recognize when you're trying to meditate, and people very often just say like, oh my gosh, I just don't have the ability to focus, and I can't listen, can't be still, can't shut my mind off. Whatever is the story that you're telling yourself, just know that it's just a story. Yes, you can. First of all, yes, you can focus. Do not buy into this that, oh my God, people's emotion, like span of attention is so short these days. We are focused if there's something that is actually we are interested in. Is this activity engaging to you? Make this fun to yourself, not that you feel like, oh, I'm back to school and I'm not getting anything and I can't wait till this to be over. Make it fun to yourself. This is you doing for yourself, like for your own development, for your own personal interest. Allow yourself to stay focused and disciplined, yes, but make it fun so you can practice holding your focus. Again, like if you want to play around here, what helps you focus a bit more is time your activities. For example, I use my phone timer a lot, and one of those ways that I teach myself to stay focused on certain things and kind of bring my attention inwards is long baths without my phone present, and or like even if my phone is there, I'm not touching it for a certain amount of time, and just staying with my inner world, paying attention to myself, taking deep breaths, holding my focus on this simplicity and very normal things. And also same things with those cards. Notice how long can you keep your focus. Maybe today 1 card, tomorrow 2, and maybe in a month's time 3 or 4 cards. But practicing your focus with yourself and not being constantly distracted, it's a practice, it's a muscle you train, but you need that focus to have awareness of your bodily sensations and your surroundings as well. Noticing is something changing, noticing if something is external communication coming in, or is it your own thoughts. If you don't have a focus for your inner world, you just wouldn't know the difference. And And for that, focus practices are important. And obviously, let's not forget the old school reading. Just taking a book, putting a timer down, I'm going to read maybe 30 minutes at the time every day. Trust me, it will calm your system and it will help you start focusing. Because at the moment, like, reading has become one of those things as well, that we consume information rather than just reading for the sake of reading. Books have become some of those things that I'm going for a walk, I'm doing dishes and vacuuming, and I'm reading and quickly listening to this book. That's great. It's actually an amazing way to retain and kind of take in information. If you're listening and doing something at the same time, it's an amazing way. But for your own practice of focus, sitting down and actually reading something, priceless practice for focus. So that was tip number 4. What else I wanted to say to you? Number 5 is paying attention to the details. And this is whether it's your visual practice, your inner world, outside world, paying attention to the nuances of things. There's a lot of examples of, like, if a psychic person, for example, walks into a cafe, they know instantly, like, oh my gosh, what's been happening here in the morning, what's everyone's moods are like, how the staff is getting along, what are their biggest topics been this morning. Like, we have like this understanding straight away from a space. And sometimes when you walk into a space, you're just like, yeah, everything like on paper looks good, but it doesn't feel good, so we walk out. And some other times, like, another place feels so inviting. These are psychic senses communicating something to us, and our unconscious mind picking something up that we, with our conscious mind, can't even that quickly process before the decision is already made. But paying attention to these details. For example, what I've noticed, like, in giving psychic readings to people, is that you can have someone's like a big story coming through, and then somewhere in the visuals there is, like, I remember, for example, very particularly, there is a beautiful lady I gave a reading to, and there was many pictures coming through, and then there were different papers with writings on, and the papers looked kind of the same, but the writings looked different. Almost like the font of the writing style was different. And paying attention to these little details were actually held a great meaning for that woman. So it really highlighted for me as well, like, wow, these details are so important. And not, I don't assume that everyone's listening to this podcast that you want to give someone a psychic reading, but details are important to our senses. And the same thing, like, notice even around your house, like, what are the details that give you energy? What are the details that you don't like to have around, that become kind of like this holes that suck your vibe and energy and kind of dim your light a bit? Pay attention to these things. You deserve to have that type of environment in and outside of you, that all of it supports you. Number 6, what I want to say is trust in the visions, trust in the senses, trust in the information that your senses are receiving, and not interfering this with your personal opinion. Because very often, again, for me, mainly experiences from giving psychic readings is it actually took me like this very strong focus on, like, let me just look at the details as neutrally as possible, instead of me thinking, oh, that's bogus, that's random, that's a bit irrelevant, that's probably nothing. And it was actually really all relevant to the person who's there to receive their message. Like, I've seen some interesting things, for example, like, I remember giving a reading to a woman, and I saw kind of like 2 boys, or like figures of like 2 young males, and a third one on the background, like almost not a background as in like less important, but somewhere almost like on a fainter way there was one more figure. And then I mentioned that to her, that, well, it seems like you have 2 sons and also a third one. And there was a beautiful story involved, how this woman was kind of on a crossroads when it comes to becoming a stepmom. And the psychic reading helped her to gain a lot of clarity how she feels about, her kids' relationships dynamic and all of that, and her own feelings about this quite a big change in her life. And again, these details, like even the vision, the feel of these figurines, these figures that came up to my visions were different. So I needed to trust that difference is important. And it's not important to me. To me, it's just important that I read this accurately and offer these cues to my clients so they can get clarity from it. I don't need to have the whole story, but I can look at the details and I can communicate the message. And same if we receive the psychic message for us as well, because if we only filter it through like what makes complete sense to us right now, well, then we don't need our psychic senses at all. If we're only operating in this realm of like everything needs to make logic sense in this present moment, then we are not open to taking anything new in. And our psychic senses don't open really up for that either, because even the universal energy goes like, well, what's the point? You are like so judgmental of all the information we send you. So open-mindedness and trust in what you see is important. Just trusting that it's there for a reason and it's there for a safe energy, which I decide for myself before I open myself up every time, that I'm doing this in a safe and always healing, loving, kind energy. So yes, trust is very important. And not interfering with your personal opinions. Extremely important. So that was it number 5 or 6 by now? It doesn't matter. I lost count of numbers, which is so me. And last 2 points, what I want to say is that it takes a commitment and a practice to develop like a relationship with your own psychic senses. We, have all our normal physical senses, and we just living in this perception all the time, so we come to trust these senses. So nobody questions what they see, but it's same kind of commitment needs to go into like you seeing with your inner eyes, you having this communication with the quantum fabric, quantum energy, all of this spirit guides, for example, your own energy, someone else's energy. It takes practice and commitment, like any relationship. It takes that commitment and your participation in it. So it starts to develop into this thing that you participate in. This is yours. This is part of your life. This is something that becomes as a natural thing in your life. So don't forget that that your practice with it and your participation in it is extremely important. And it's not something that you just sit quietly and wait for someone to open this channel up for you. It takes actually quite a lot of practice and courage to open it up. But really, really, if you feel the call, just leave a little bit of time aside every day, or like as often that feels right for you. My main way to meditate is in a bath. Like it's very bizarre, I know, but that's what I do. Or before I fall asleep, I always gather my thoughts and kind of like just take a moment to be in a very receiving energy, or very like a calming energy as well. I try not to open all the channels up for the night time, because I want to sleep and have a peaceful sleep. So this meditation at night time is a bit different. But when I'm in a bath, I use essential oils. I kind of activate myself in these spaces. I feel like this is where I'm so connected and so in this feminine energy, because I feel good. The bath is warm and welcoming, relaxing. I'm held there. Obviously, if you try to do that as well, be safe. Don't ever fall asleep when you're trying to meditate or like be in this receiving energy and you relax to the point where you are not actually aware. I just trust my own ability to do that, because I'm aware and I'm very much there with my physical senses, but I'm very much away with my inner senses as well. And that beautiful feminine vibe, and this sense of safety and safe of being held by the water and the warmth is just opening me up instantly. And I practice it quite often, and I follow these little cues of like, do this today. I just all of a sudden receive this message. Today is just go and receive something. And then I go do it, and I have some new guidance or new message or new information come through. And it's been actually happening for me for years, and I really, really love it. But it takes time to develop this relationship. And also think of it this way as well. If let's say your friend messages you every day for like a month time, every day for a month, that like, tonight we'll talk, and you never pick up the phone, or you never message back, or you never bother to call back, then eventually anyone would be disappointed, and there's no relationship after to build on. Same with the psychic senses as well. So we need to pick up the phone. And the last thing what I wanted to say is, there's no right or wrong way for you to, first of all, practice your psychic senses, to experience your psychic senses, and to kind of go deep into this world, or how deep you want to go, how often you want to practice. There's really no right or wrong way. These are just just a small aspect of what I have been doing, but they're all been very profound to me. And these practices need to be ongoing. I'm 35 now. 36 in October. So, and I've been starting to pay attention to psychic senses when I was little. And I was really obsessed with having these like supernatural perceptions and abilities, and been practicing that more since my early 20s as someone who decided I want to be a psychic. So it's been very like a conscious practice, on and off, of course. Like, not always I've been so obsessed about it, but just know that if you feel drawn to it, it doesn't have to take like a long time for all of this to develop. It can actually happen extremely quickly. For one of my besties, the psychic sense opened up like in a very fast time, and she had a bit of a wild ride with it. But even after that, even if it opens up, the channel opens up, still you need to develop a relationship with it. You need to build all these skills that I spoke about anyway. Your ability to receive information, translate information, be impartial to it, be able to kind of deliver it if it's to someone else, and also knowing when to even tap in, because the deeper level of it all is, maybe it's a beautiful way to kind of wrap this conversation up today as well, is that I would maybe not recommend at first to start playing around reading someone else, because that needs to be with permission, that needs to be with some boundaries. Take it very lightheartedly in the beginning, and obviously do what feels right for you. But that's just something that I have decided for myself, that I'm not walking around reading other people. Actually, what I do is I kind of, in a beautiful, gentle way, I kind of close these senses down when I'm, for example, in a cafe, want to do my own thing. Like today, when I went to cafe to sit down and brainstorm and create focus in my own life to certain things, I'm shutting these senses down instead of like kind of get zoomed into this someone else's energy, and all of a sudden I know so much about this person. That's not a nice way to be a psychic, or it loses its kind of vibrancy then in my eyes. And we don't want to go walk around almost like this radio that we walk from one field to another, and our like speakers always change the song, and we are not anymore in charge. So you want to be on a channel that you want to be on, and then tune into the things that like you want to tune into, and ask permission if someone else maybe wants to their energy read, and also if there is a message for them as well, because not everyone is able to receive that. Like, for example, some of my family members are very scared of all of this world, and I used to tell them a lot what I've seen and experienced, and like what some other mediums told me, and to me it was such a normal thing. And I remember one time I spoke to my mom on the phone about one quite very profound experience with the passed on spirit. And my mom is just listening, and I could feel through, I'm here in Australia, she's there in Estonia, and I could feel through the line, through just a phone call, that she is there, not just silent listening, but she's silent and frozen because she's terrified. And then I realized, like, wow, okay, I need to not to push these on people and be gentle here, what everyone is available for, and meet people where they are and go deep where I feel comfortable, but just be very kind and respectful, that everyone is different in that sense as well, and everyone's ability to receive these messages is different as well. So yeah, but other than that, open yourself up to it, because by the end of the day, if you feel the call to it, if you're still listening to this episode, that means this might be something that you want to explore. Make it lighthearted for you. Make it something fun, not dead serious, and like something that you lose yourself in a way. You're still the captain of the ship, and don't put these things on a pedestal. Make them as a integrated way of your life, and practice it gently. Don't put any pressure on it, what it has to be or what's right or wrong. It is what it is, and we are all so unique in these senses. I know a lot of psychic women in my life, and a lot of other coaches who are psychics, and my circle, I'm lucky, is quite big when it comes to women like this. And talking to them, all of them are so beautifully unique. All of us have our own unique pocket, and so will be your pocket of spiritual experience with these senses will also be unique. So happy discovery, have fun with it, see how your life starts to make sense, and a lot of your world starts to open up, and a lot of your just worries and general things can just fall away if you surrender to these things that are meant for you in life, because a lot of the resistance is removed. So that's it from me, I think, today. Please leave me a comment or send me a message and tell me how you like this episode, or what are your tips as well. So maybe if you have extra tips that you wish to share, I can definitely talk about them in the future, and or leave a comment so other people who can or want to tap into these senses, they can read your tips as well. Yes, thank you so much, everyone. I love that you were here. I love that you listened to that, and I hope you took a lot out of this. I'll talk to you soon again. Sending you so much love.